All right, folks, y'all ready to see a comparison? I am ready to show you. I am here to show you this Bible, the ESV Preaching Bible, and compare it to a few other editions. Now, I've got 8 Bibles on the table. This is the Preaching Bible. I'm just going to go ahead and name them all, and then I'll kind of do a quick comparison and tell you what I like. So, again, this is the ESV Preaching Bible from Crossway, just released, and it's in a goatskin cover. Really nice, really nice. Single column paragraph format, 36 GSM paper, really nicely done. All right, so here's what we got. We got the Omega on the far right, middle row. Then you have the R.L. Allan ESV NCR right here, in this right here. This right here is the ESV Quentel from Schuyler. Then you have the older Lego printing of the Legacy, not the Heirloom Legacy. This is the Lego printing with the 36 GSM paper. Personally like it better than the Heirloom Legacy. All right, next you have the single column verse by verse, or the single column reference from 08. Then they went from producing this to this, and this is the Lego printing of the single column verse by verse. And then they went from producing the single column verse by verse to the verse by verse, what they call verse by verse, and it's a double column verse by verse, which I think they should have kept it single column, but apparently most people like the double column verse by verse a little bit better than the single. So anyway, there's a market out there for sure for the double column verse by verse. Now, what I wish they'd have done when they produced this top grain edition was use paper like this, and you could have called that the Preaching Bible, but whatever. Anyway, those are the editions we have. This is the Preaching Bible, and you can see the layout is very similar to the Legacy. Now I'll bring the Legacy over. The Legacy is a 9-point font. This is a 10-point font. I mean, it's the exact same, basically the same thing. The Legacy has the section headings in the margin. The section headings are actually in the text, like right here and right there. So it leaves the margins cleaner. But the Legacy has a larger lower margin, the same exterior or outer margin, but double the lower margin. So if you write from left to right and you were writing a paragraph down here, you'd have twice as much room. So anyhow, they have very similar paper, and I've always been a huge fan of the Lego paper. I love Lego paper, and their printing is just top notch. Well, this paper is awesome too. I mean, it might have just a slightly higher bit of ghosting if you look in these sections than the Lego printing, the Lego paper. It might be just slightly darker, but and the Lego printing is just going to be a little bit darker than this Chinese printing, but it's still, it's so good, so good. All right, so that's the closest comparison is the Legacy, but you also have other Bibles like the double column paragraph editions. Here you have the Omega, the NCR, and the Quentel, which is kind of a utility layout. You can do it all with this layout. Okay, so you can preach from it, you can read easily from it because it's in paragraph format, but the paragraphs are in 2 columns, so it's easier to navigate from verse number to verse number because everything's pretty compact. So it makes it a lot easier to navigate. These all have references, so you can use them for study. These are kind of do-it-all Bibles. That's why the Omega is like the flagship ESV for Crossway. The ESV NCR is the flagship ESV for Allan, and the ESV Quentel is the flagship ESV for Schuyler. It's kind of their do-it-all layout. And the single columns, this is the progression from, or at least the verse by verses, this is the progression. You went from single column, you see how thick this is. The 08 is my favorite. Now, I'm going to go grab this one if I have to go teach somewhere or whatever. This is going to be one of my favorites because the paper is just so good, and I love the layout. It has a darker, the numbers, verse markings are darker. You see that compared to the Lego printing of the single column verse by verse. They're not as dark. Actually, they're not even close to as dark. And then they went back to doing the darker verse numbers with the updated verse by verse in the double column layout. I really like this one. It's just the paper is not quite as good as either of the other verse by verse editions. So I do like this, and it's growing on me. But anyway, so there's your comparison, at least the layout comparison with several other editions. So tell me, which one would you choose to read from? If you could pick any of these, which one are you grabbing to read? And which one would you grab to preach from? And which one do you think would do it all? Which it might not be the best for reading or the best for preaching, but will do everything. So for me, if I'm grabbing one to read and I feel like I'm betraying a close friend, I really feel like I'm doing something wrong because I love the legacy so much. But this 10-point font is just easier for me. I love the legacy. I love the layout. So that's what I'm getting with the preaching Bible. But this 10-point font is just muy bueno for me. So I like the preaching Bible right now. If I had to pick one Bible except for the ESV reading set, if I had to pick one Bible, one single volume to read from, it's probably going to be this one. And that might surprise some folks. I love this Bible. I just don't think it's exactly the preaching edition, but it is an exceptional Bible. So this is the one I'd pick to read from. The one I'd pick to preach from is going to be this one, the single column reference from the 08 with the 08 paper. And then my do it all is the NCR. Now, granted, my favorite Bible is the Godfather, the Abba bound, and it's the same exact thing as this. So by me picking this, I'm picking the Godfather. So anyway, that's kind of your do it all. It is a paragraph format. It does have references, but also it has book introductions. It has a larger reference suite. It has, but you can also see the verse numbers are a little more bold. It's easier to navigate if you were to preach from it. So anyway, tell me what you think. Also, be sure to subscribe and give me a like if you want to. I also have a lot of Rebond reviews and other Bible reviews coming up. So be sure to click the notification tab so that you'll get notified whenever I upload those videos. So I have a lot coming in and a lot of reviews to do. So they're coming. So thanks for watching, and God bless.